Hello, my name is Birdie Burchett, and this is my Papa Marty Fisher, and he's going to tell us a little about himself and about hunter safety.
Well, Brody, I'm glad to be here to do that. Thank you for inviting me. You know, when I was your age, I was just starting my hunting career. That was a long time ago, and to be honest with you, back then there really weren't that many deer in the state of Georgia. You know, now the limits are really, really high, but back then you could shoot 2 bucks a whole year and no does. Well, we've changed from that now, but when I was little, just like Brody has been done, I was taught gun safety and safety on the hunt. I want to talk to you just a little bit about that, but first, let me tell you about me. I'm very fortunate. I'm a man that had an opportunity to be involved in the outdoors, and over the years, I've now become a professional outdoorsman. I'm a professional shooter, a professional instructor. I design shooting facilities all over the United States and Canada, down in Mexico. I've been in a various number of countries doing that. I have my own television show. I have my own radio show. The radio show is called Marty Fisher's Wing and Clay Nation. And it's on live every Thursday, but boy, you can Google it on the internet and you will find all sorts of episodes. It's primarily wing shooting, and today I want to talk to you about hunter safety and deer hunting, specifically, as Brody has talked about, hunting deer with dogs. When I was his age, that's all we did. We didn't do any still hunting or anything like that. All of our hunting was done with dogs. Now in Georgia, the reason that we do that is because there's so much vegetation. There's so many trees. The woods are thick, and it's very difficult to see deer if you don't in some way have them on the move so that they can go by the hunters. That being the case, sometimes you're going to have a hunting club that's got 8, 10, 12, 15 people that will be on a deer drive. And the one thing that you want to make sure that you do is have all of those people in a line a certain distance apart so that everything is going to be safe. It's really best, if you can, to have each hunter where he can see the next hunter down the line. You're going to be shooting shotguns for the most part, using buckshot. Okay? That is going to be a little different than having a rifle, because a high-powered rifle that we use for deer hunting can shoot as far as 3 miles, if you can imagine that. 3 miles is a long way. A shotgun with buckshot will not shoot that far. It's only going to shoot 100, 150 yards, something like that, for its effective range. But it's shooting pellets, so when the pellets come out of the gun, they're actually spreading out, and it's not one single projectile. So it's really important that all of the hunters know exactly where they are in relation to the next hunter down the line. And there's a no-no spot where you just don't put the gun. Now, once the dogs are put out and they get on the deer and they start tracking the deer, their barking will tell you that they are on a deer. That deer is going to be running in front of those dogs, and it may be running quite a good distance in front of the dogs, so you've always got to be on your toes and be ready. A lot of times, if it's a big buck and he hears that coming, the dogs may not even be on his scent, but he's going to slip out of there and try to get away so that the dogs don't ever get on his scent. So you've really got to be on your toes. So the way to do that is to make sure that you keep your gun pointed in a safe position. Always up is best. Keep the safety on. You don't want to have the safety off until it's time to shoot. You want to make sure that you have on the minimum amount of square inches of orange clothing for visibility. You know, there have actually been some people that have been shot that did not have on orange, and you know, hunters are shot at movement in the bushes and things like that, which is totally wrong. But the orange really protects you and lets people know exactly where you are. So you've got to have 500 square inches, which is like a vest. As you can see, I've got on an orange hat. An orange hat is not enough. You need more than that. A vest or a jacket is also required. So you want to make sure you have all of those things. So you keep your gun on safety, you keep it pointed downrange at all times, you have on your orange, and then by all means, and the most important thing, know where your other hunters are, and absolutely identify your target. That is really, really, really critical. Make sure that you identify your target, that you know it is a deer, that you decide if it's a buck. You may or may not want to shoot any and every deer that comes by. Even though in Georgia you pretty much can, although we do have some antler restrictions, so you got to be careful and make sure if it's a buck, make sure that it fits the minimum size for your particular area. So that's pretty much it. Make sure you know where people are. Make sure that your gun is pointed in a safe place, that it's on safe, and the gun is, if it's ever taken off safety, it's put back on. And once you shoot a deer and get the deer down, and you want to go take a look, go ahead and approach the deer to make sure that it is dead. But at that point, you may want to go ahead and just unload your gun and put it over to the side, because you're going to have a lot of people coming around watching, and you want to make sure that your gun is completely unloaded and totally safe. So Brody, that's a bunch of rules, but every one of them really, really matter.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining me.
It's my pleasure, and good luck on your hunting.
Yes, sir.
You folks too, be safe, have fun, and I hope you get that big buck of a lifetime.